Or is it? There it is. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Red Wings Rant, where tirades and impassioned pleas for your Detroit Red Wings. We finally have a home. Guys, we're talking the ED Wings preseason stock watch. That's right. I don't know if it updated. I updated on StreamYard for it to say Red Wings preseason stock watch. Let's see what happens. Emmitt Finnie. Let's see. I wrote these notes a few days ago. I don't know if everything still stands, but certainly we have some thoughts after last night. But we do want to talk Emmitt Finnie. We want to talk this Copp, Ras, Appleton line. Seems to be doing pretty well. I really liked what I saw specifically from just as easy as it gets. I just really liked, and I want to talk about Michael Brandsegg-Nygård and that goal he scored, because there's been so many instances where we've had guys that have been drafted and we hear about what is going to be brought to this team from a talent perspective. And I always feel like it's like, it's not super trustworthy when we get told that there's a really good shot coming aboard. And I don't, it's obviously not black and white, but it was just really nice to see, like, right between the circles, to watch Nygård put one away. Jared throws out there, about time you fired Mike. Yes, Dan B, thank you. Dan B throws out there, Teemu Pulkkinen. That is exactly who I was thinking of. That is exactly the name that I had in mind when I was thinking of who is the guy that we were set up. Like, this guy has the shot, and like, man, did he rip it, but in like all different kinds of directions, never straight ahead. It felt really good to see a goal, and we'll take a look at it too. And we'll take a look at some other highlights from that Blackhawks game. Pretty nice to see the Wings take care of them. There were a lot of penalties in that game. And it was nice, I guess, just to at least see the Wings hold down a team that they should go into the regular season this year. No, like, every matchup they should handle that team. That was nice to see. But we do have a couple of slides to go over. Jared throwing out there for these Teemu Pulkkinen shots everywhere and into the glass. Teemu Fulton Reed Pulkkinen. Oh boy, quite a reference. So as we jump in here, I don't know where my brother is. He might show up. I've texted him. I thought I was running late to the show. I said, I'm Mike. I am running late. We will have to start late today. I showed up on time. I was ready. I was ready to go. Who knows where Mike is? I don't know. I should probably make sure I send him an invite to the episode too. So yeah, I thought we'd kick off the conversation. I just saw this. The 2025 NHL franchise valuation rankings came out. Your Detroit Red Wings, valued at $2.11 billion, a 14% year value increase. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Yzerman is doing nothing wrong in the eyes of the Ilitch family. I did label this. I'm kind of being a bag of DICKS here. Dan B wants to know, is Mike driving back from Cleveland? Was he in Cleveland? Did I miss that note? That'd be great if I scheduled an episode recording on a day that Mike was in Cleveland and I don't even know. $2.11 billion for the Detroit Red Wings, currently valued at. It's an increase of 14%, which when you take a look at this list, and I'm going to have to blow it up on my screen here, and obviously the talking points here are going to be sort of, they're going to be a little bitchy. Yeah. But when you go down this list, I mean, they're pretty close to increasing right along with every other 25 valuation increases. So, the year over year increase. They're at number 10. They were at number 10, it looks like, last year, because you could see a couple of teams on this list have jumped up a few spots. The Blackhawks have fallen a spot. The Edmonton Oilers have gone up a spot. But the increases where the Red Wings are at 14%, you can see there's a 16, 12, 13, 12, 18, 15. So they're right within that average range of what's been going down with these franchises. But I know the rumors have been out there. We all know the rumors have been out there for what this what the Ilitch family has been looking to do. I know the rumors are maybe a little bit stronger for El Tigre, but certainly for both the Tigers and the Red Wings, the rumors have been out there that the Ilitches were looking to sell. There were some ties to, of course, relationship of Chris Ilitch. But that it always felt like there's been that tie to Chris and ending the struggle that has been being the owner of the Detroit Red Wings. There's been this tie ever since Mike passed. And I would say as long as this is happening, as long as this number is increasing, the brand is strong, you guys. The tickets sell out. People are going to the games. They watch the games. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt is wearing his brand new 100-year centennial jersey. They're buying, the morons buy the merch. They're fine. There's no rush here. They're fine. I just, it bugs me when I see this and I'm at fault. But we want this team to be better and we want it to be leagues better. I know we're going to talk about all season. There's a lot of things going right for the future. We're going to feel good about that future. It's fun to see, Axel is getting better as the preseason rolls along. I just led the show off with Michael Brandsegg-Nygård. But, it just kind of sucks that we're on a 9-year playoff drought, and the Red Wings have been steadfast in being a top 10 valued NHL franchise. And I guess the reason that sucks is just because it just tells you like there's no change here. We're just, there's no rush. What's the point? Why would we rush? Hey, now we can get Mike's thoughts.
Yeah, Mike's thoughts.
Everybody, my brother has
podcast.
Arrived.
Yeah. Mike's thoughts. Where Matt is muted for the whole show. What's up, Matt?
That would be fun if I was muted this whole time. Mike, I started off the conversation. We'll just get a quick thought here because I've been rambling for 8 minutes now on this slide.
You're the rambling man. Yeah.
$2.11 billion. The Red Wings are the 10th highest valued NHL franchise. And I just sort of circled this as like, the problem here is just that why would there need to be a rush in changing anything when the Ilitches have been rumored to want to sell the Red Wings and the Tigers, and they haven't lost any value for this franchise. And I'm pretty sure they'd be pretty happy to take away $2.11 billion in a sale. So from an ownership perspective, pretty good for them. From a fan perspective, not that you want to see your franchise fail, but there isn't any indication that there's, a need to rush to the playoffs, rush to success, rush any decision making, because everything's going according to plan.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the number, 2.1, it seems, can I say a strange comment? That seems kind of low.
Oh, yeah. And that's got to be tied to, I mean, if you're talking about a sports franchise, yeah, that's pretty low.
I think
if you're talking about a hockey franchise, obviously it's not bad.
Pretty good. Yeah, I think what I'm most excited about is if this, valuation keeps increasing. It does make it a little bit easier of a sell. Like it's already a known product. All you got to do is trot out the centennial jerseys, and you'll get people dropping $300 for a shirt for a team that's not very good. And what I'm hoping is that the Ilitches will kind of see that they'll make more money by, just kind of doing their own, sell-off per franchise. So it won't be like the same person owning the Red Wings and the Tigers. I'm hoping that they offset it to two different people. Just because it's a little bit, it was awesome when Mike was alive and invested in both, like emotionally and financially, right? Because he
Right.
put a bunch of money in the Tigers and he made sure the Red Wings never wanted or needed for anything. But when you don't have that interest anymore, it's very evident in the performance of both franchises. So, yeah, the positives as far as the increase, happy to see that. And I don't think most of the people who pay attention to our show would be upset with a sale at this juncture, just to kind of put a little more urgency in the team management.
Crimson says, "Sup? Who's ready for another season of mid?"
Woo! Hope you finna get Finnie up there. Yeah.
He also throws out there MBN is like a Perron Jr. We'll take that into
Ooh.
consideration. Brand new. Hey, fellas. What's going on, brand new? My burner account I typed up real quick as Mike signed in. Like, nobody think about the fact that Matt messaged. He wasn't able to message until Mike came in and started talking. It's not that I was distracted. That is a different person. Okay. Eiserman's secret plan. Compher has played both preseason games against the Blackhawks. Compher to Chicago, his hometown, confirmed. Interesting. I mean, right now you're talking about playing your fourth line center, $5 million. So what? 5.5. So yeah, I don't mind if that's the way the roster's going to line up. I don't mind shopping Compher around to see what else you can find, especially if we can find some defensemen. But yeah, we got a ton to talk about today. So I'll go ahead, Mike.
No, I wish I had better ideas for Dan B. He just said who would buy them, and please don't say the Ford family.
The Gilberts.
Oh God, not another one. No.
Hell yeah, let's do it. Think about all the free tickets I'd get.
And hopefully not the other mortgage company in Pontiac. Just there's been some really weird stuff with the Phoenix Suns and employees there having to sign non-disclosure agreements about occurrences in the workplace and how you can't just file a lawsuit anymore if you're being harassed. It's very, very strange. An unprecedented move for an NBA franchise. So I would not be excited for that at all.
That's
and
really
I hope that
weird.
doesn't come to, yeah, I don't know if you guys have read about that. There was an athletic piece about what's going on in Phoenix where they're doing another hardcore reboot of the players, personnel, behind the scenes, and, even the lower rung employees. And the Suns are getting a lot of lawsuits filed against them. And their owner, who has stepped forward and said, I mean, anyone can file a lawsuit. It's about if you're going to lose the lawsuit, which we haven't done that yet. So
what you're saying
ideally,
is
ideally I'd go in a different direction, I think. Is what
you're saying is I should definitely clip this part of the episode out and post it on TikTok and Instagram.
That'll go real well. I would just go in a different direction. This is just public phrasing. But I don't know. I know you wanted to talk about the exhibition hockey here.
Nearly through the preseason, Mike. We got a couple of games left this weekend, which also go ahead.
Well, you wanted to say, nearly through the preseason. You wanted to go over what's trending up and down and some roster questions.
Yeah.
As far as what's trending up, something that was the exact same trend last year is that it's really fun whenever we play the Blackhawks, and a bit of a nightmare for not playing the Blackhawks.
Yeah, I didn't know if we wanted to talk about our record because
I know you can say the win-loss doesn't matter, but I feel like it does for this team.
Yeah, it's not.
We don't win a lot of games.
Particularly fun. Yeah.
And I was looking around at. I was like, well, what is it? 2-3 now or 3-3? 2 Blackhawks wins. I know we either have 3 wins or 2, and we've lost I think 3 times. But I was just curious, and it's like some teams like Tampa Bay are already 5-0. There's somebody else, like a legitimate NHL team was 5-0. So seeing them at the top of the standings just kind of made me think, Okay, maybe the standings do matter a little bit in exhibition. I know you're not playing your studs, right? Like Tampa's not playing like Vasilevsky, of course, but I didn't see anything that made me think this team's going to be wildly different with internal development. As far as what's trending up, I don't know if you wanted to talk about Finnie.
Of course.
And how that's a good thing and a bad thing. Like, it's good for his career and bad that some Mr. Irrelevant's going to be on the first line of the Detroit Red Wings playing 20-plus minutes a night with Larkin and Raymond.
Yeah.
Woo!
Well, it has, just to finish this off, I finally pulled up the goddamn schedule. But yeah, 3 wins, 3 losses, but 2 losses to Pittsburgh and a loss to Buffalo. I was just listening to Puck Soup and they were talking about the way that Pittsburgh's structured, like they were just a god awful defensive team. So maybe they got it all figured out, but it is kind of scary that 2 goals and 1 goal against who will be a bottom feeder.
We got a bid for comment of the episode. Blake from the top rope says, "No vision from the brothers. Shocking." Thanks, Blake. Also, Ketzel,
hey, Ketzel's aboard. What's going on, Ketzel? Hey, I think we have tickets to the same game, the 3 of us, with Ketzel included. I think that got announced as one of the Centennial games today.
Oh, wait, do I have a ticket?
Yeah.
Which game?
It's November 9th. There you go. Thanks, Ketzel.
Oh, nice.
Oh, shoot.
I should probably order my Hasek jersey by then.
Yeah, I have a work thing on the 7th, so now it's decided when I will be flying back will be the 8th.
Hey, Performance Art's going to be there too.
Hey, awesome. Sweet.
Nice, man.
All right. Well, we're definitely meeting up for some brewskis now. I mean, we were with Ketzel. I just mean that. I don't know why I said it like
we were
that.
On the fence.
I just mean
Ketzel. Oh, good. Performance Art will be there to get the group together.
So. Yay! All right. Where were we?
We were talking about the preseason performance. What can you take out of wins and losses? Dan B's jumping right in, saying wins and losses are relevant. You just want to see young guys improving. Well, we're going to get pretty used to these guys since looks like one of these young guys is going to be on the first line with Dylan Larkin and Lucas Raymond playing 20 minutes a game. Ready! Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo!
I mean, we're not
Jared's
really
saying Clinks are just ducking Ketzel in the arena.
There he is.
Let's hit on a few more positives before we do the usual Clink Brothers doom and gloom. And I think this slide's very important.
Well, yeah, we have Edmondson problems that are kind of highlighting the defensive issues. So I think it is important to call out, like, this Copp, Rasmussen, Appleton line is adding something from a 2-way perspective. A smart, heavy hockey game for this line. Protecting on this defensive side, which is definitely going to need it. McClellan's line, Copp may as well lead the way, scoring in the paint. I kind of like that idea. And it does also lend to the idea that Copp might not last too long. And we're talking about the Finnie aspect of things. Do you really want Finnie on your top line? Are there other guys on this team that can fill this out? Is McClellan talking himself into Copp being on the top line? But regardless, I think if we just talk about having a solid third line, and we've been talking about we already have a solid second line, does kind of suck that conversation so far to start the season will be, do we have a first line? But to talk about some positives, for sure, this line is rolling.
I think the best part about this line is that we understand their identity, right? Like, this is a smash burger. We got a couple of patties, some American cheese, and bread. We know what we're going to get out of these guys. And it's, it's a role that you need on every hockey team. So some big dudes, we're going to forecheck, maybe not, be the most skilled, but they're going to eat up some minutes on the offense, right? Hopefully keep it on the other side. Wear some people out and then get the puck to your skilled line. That's usually the mentality. And so I really like this smash burger line. I think my concern is I don't know if you have a slide ready for the first line where it's like, hey, we got a steak and a lobster and a short stack of blueberry pancakes. Like, oh, those three things together. Cool. I don't know what to do with these pancakes, but I'm pretty excited about the steak and the lobster.
Well, it goes to Emmitt Finnie, but there is a stock down on the first line if you wanted to talk to that or keep talking Copp.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think we don't want Copp to do poorly, right? You know, when he played well last season, it impacted the whole team. And then when he got hurt, it really damaged the whole team. Like he had a significant impact on the Detroit Red Wings. And as much grief as we give him for that core surgery, when he was healthy, he was awesome for half the season. So again, I like that third line. I like having that identity. And if we're going to, maybe tie two of these slides together, Finnie, for better or for worse, has played well enough to be on that, first line. But I see you kind of dropping a few notes here.
God, which one?
You could start with Finnie. We'll start with the positives. Let's do that. I apologize.
Well, if we could real quick, just before we go too heavy into Finnie, I really like what Ketzel threw out here too. I'm excited for Appleton to play his game. No more begging for Tarasenko to be Tarasenko. And no more asking Tarasenko to be something he's not.
Right.
Like we could finally fill out this lineup. And this was, I feel like we gave Steve a hard time. And I think
that was another, like you're making a hot dog and it was, mustard, relish, and then caramel drizzle for Tarasenko. You're like, oh, I mean, I like caramel, but not on a hot dog.
Right. Well, I guess
I haven't had dinner in case you haven't guessed.
Yeah, me neither. The place where I feel like it's still warranted to give Steve a hard time was like Steve's like, man, I finally fixed that shitty roster, that decision. Whoever put Tarasenko on this roster, I fixed it, guys. I brought in Mason Appleton. Now we have a third line that could be an actual third line.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of like, well, first of all, we're not winning the cup because you fixed the third line. And second of all, the person who created this problem is you. So let's chill on hey, I brought in a guy who finally fits the role. And it's like, well, who's the jackass that brought in Tarasenko to play this role when we didn't really have a spot for him in the top six? Anyway, yeah. I really like the line from Ketzel. I think he's right. I think this is good for the team. But yeah, I guess just to sum up, like we did give Steve a hard time for that, but it is the better choice. It is something that we should be excited about. Okay, so back to Finnie. Sorry about that. We're back.
Yeah, I think what they've harped on a lot with this guy is as much as, I've deeply fetishized Elmer Soderblom and his 6'9" body and giant reach. Unless the face-offs in the offensive zone, he can't really keep up with Lucas and Larkin. So I think part of the appeal, right, for Finnie is that he is able to skate with them.
Yeah.
He does put his, his engine in go. He's always hitting the gas pedal, which McClellan likes a lot. So as far as somebody who's going to keep up with them and, bang around on the boards and, maybe be available for some one-time reaction, which, you and I got to witness firsthand. There's worse options. It's just literally insane to have a 7th round 20-year-old kid playing on your first line 20 minutes against, top competition, which you got to think is what Larkin and, Lucas are going to warrant from the other team. So it's one thing to kind of see him in exhibition games against the Blackhawks or in a red and white game. I don't know what we're going to do against real playoff teams. It's going to be a real learning experience for all of us, for him playing and for us watching.
Yeah, I really like Matt's comment. First line, Copp or JVR just seems like a massive waste of Larkin and Raymond's speed and talent. And that was where you were going with that too, with Soderblom. It's just, this is where that description of Emmitt Finnie's game, like you mentioned from Todd, really sells this to me. But we shouldn't be in this situation where we're talking about like, oh, if it doesn't work, you got to be ready to pull the trigger and get him off that first line like real quick. I guess this is obvious, but it is scary of the prospect that we're going to go into Thursday, October 9th against Montreal. And how believable is it that we're going to be watching that game and the lines are shuffled before the end of the first period because they're just not totally happy with what they've seen with Finnie on the first line. And like, you shouldn't be doing that with your first line. You shouldn't be having those thoughts immediately. And then you're trying to build chemistry to start the season and get everything rolling. So it's that part of it is a scary prospect in itself, connecting a prospect to your first line. All right. So then I did like the line from Dylan where there's like, obviously the coaching aspect of this, obviously there's a management aspect of this. You would have liked to have seen a real first line left wing be added to this team. And it's just going to be tough for Todd to do this without maybe mixing up some of the things that are working in different spots in the lineup. But the player aspect of this in Dylan's head, I like. He's like, there is no like perfect fit. And I would push back a little bit because we used to have in Boston the perfection line. So it is possible to have a line that is so good that it looks like it's perfect. But I do like Dylan's thought process here where it's like, there really isn't a guy that, there aren't three guys that exist. Like you have to work to make it work. Mm-hmm. It doesn't just get put in there and click. You have to have chemistry between the guys. And I think that's where the Van Riemsdyk thing scares me. Soderblom hasn't clicked, so I think you cross that off the list. But Finnie has shown some parts of this where it does work. And if you could keep building on what has worked and keep building on the chemistry, Larkin's right. There's no perfect fit, especially on this roster right now. But you can start to make things work the best that they can by practicing together, playing these games together, getting Finnie more familiar with this NHL game, and him getting more familiar with the tendencies of his line mates. I think that's kind of where Larkin's head is at. I like that mentality. I would push back a little bit that it's impossible to get a perfect fit on lines, but I think ultimately what he's trying to say is there wasn't a player in the NHL who is going to be put on this first line that it works without effort.
I would say that Larkin just didn't finish his sentence. I think what he's saying is there's no perfect fit based on the players on our current roster. So I'm going to have to make it work with Mr. Irrelevant. Mr. Irrelevant, a 40-year-old guy, or a giant man who can't skate. Lest we forget that Larkin was on an almost perfect line. Wasn't it him, Lucas, and Bertuzzi? And that was like a top 5 line in the whole NHL?
Yeah, from like a production and puck possession standpoint.
Like top 5 in the entire league. Yeah, so, I mean, there is a blueprint to make this work. And I don't think the blueprint, apologies, is a Mr. Irrelevant, a 40-year-old guy, or a giant who can't skate.
Yeah, we do need to stretch a little bit here to make this quote work for Dylan, I think. But it would be funny if in the paper it was just no perfect fit followed by an ellipses. But if you go into the interview, he's like, there's no fucking perfect fit with these stupid assholes I got to play with first line. All right, that was too much.
No, it's just, we kind of had a blueprint, right? It was because Bert was a little bit of beef on the one side, right?
Yeah.
Banging guys. So Larkin could go, Lucas could, had the stick handling, and then Bert could crash. And I don't know. They've tried and failed, putting up like the Compfers, the Copps. I don't know. They tried to put Kane up there too, which I like having him with the other skilled players, but it's like I want to do something else with that first line. And we know that Kane's, God bless him, we love him. I bought the jersey. He's not able to skate and play defense, which ideally I would think that wing should be able to do if you're on the first line.
We'll come back to this comment, Jim. I see you. But we'll go to your first comment here. We still need a top 4 left wing. Copp and JVR don't cut it. I just like piling on top of those guys. Blake throws in there. Nobody thought Doug Brown could handle the first line. Anything is possible. So the one thing I was hesitating to bring up in all of this was like, there's those aspects of like whoever you put with Connor McDavid is going to produce.
Doug Brown works when he's surrounded by 6 to 8 Hall of Famers.
Yeah. So Blake, I get you, but there's a guy on that top 6 on those Red Wings rosters that it's not Hall of Fame worthy. And for sure, like you can start to make things work. And I'm not asking for Emmitt Finnie to be a Hall of Famer, but I also don't know if we see a Hall of Famer in Dylan Larkin.
And that's okay.
That's okay.
It's just, we're just trying to set expectations. That's all.
Yeah.
Grimson did throw one in there too. I'm telling you, keep Berger with Ray, and it's not as big a leap as people think it is. I think that Crimson, I don't hate that idea. I think I like it more for a power play, like having skilled dudes out there, but I kind of want a little bit of beef on one wing. And Dan B kind of echoing our thoughts, saying I could have scored 20 playing on the 97 Wings. You know what? I would have liked to see that, Dan, and I bet it would have happened. I would have bet the over on that.
Like, how would you say, like, for any sport, like, to get these opportunities, like, are they just handed to you? Or do you feel like you want to see these guys, like, earn it, you know?
Do you mean in terms of, like, this first line role?
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's what I feel like Finnie's doing, is he's playing really hard, and McClellan's, like, he's seen enough of these Red Wings, like, I don't want to play here no more because we had a bad trade deadline, so I'm just going to cave and play like poop. He really can't stand that attitude. So Finnie's going to bust his ass. He's like, at least I got a guy who's going to try really hard on the first line. Like that, I've guaranteed for myself. I don't know if I have, the perfection line. I don't know if I have that Red Wing line from a couple years ago, but at least this kid's busting his ass, So I think that's what McClellan's going for here. He doesn't quite have the full hand of cards available, so he's just going to see what he can get out of this kid.
Now, do you think this was a high enough effort play by Bergeron to maybe warrant that opportunity referenced in the chat?
Ooh, let's go to
Here's
the tape.
Bergie. He's at
Let's
the top
go to the
left.
tape.
If you guys haven't seen this yet, this is a beautiful play by Berger. Boop. Just they're going to slow this down so you can see everything Berger did coming out of the penalty box. So for sure, that's not your favorite thing, is to take penalties. But you see he just came out of the penalty box. He is going to hound that puck, get it himself, and
use his body,
shoulder and body his way out in front of the net and make room. And he does it, missing a glove. I think Jared called it out.
He's throwing gloves down. Look at that.
Yeah, I think Jared called it out on the Discord. He was like, "Hey, that's a penalty." But no, I like what you say, and I kind of led the witness there with that question, because I was like, I don't know, or so should we give Berger that shot? Because clearly this was a high effort play. This is something where he is showing there's some physicality to his game and some tenacity. And maybe it's not just like being the strongest guy out there, but being tenacious is something that anybody can add to their game. And could be something he's been learning from DeBrincat. I think DeBrincat's one of those guys that's really, he brings a lot of tenacity to every shift. But that was a top-notch play. And you're talking about, you got to get the puck to the high-skilled guy that's going to put it away. That's what we're looking for. I don't know. Yeah, I like that play a lot. I made the comment. I was like, did Berger just earn a chance on the first line? There's an element of why not, right?
Yeah. Dan A. So we got Dan number 2 in tonight saying, I would have liked to see second line Berger in the preseason. Wonder if Kane would be better served with less 5-on-5. It's I don't I don't want a hammer burger, right? I think that we just want more from him for him. Like we root for him. We know that Steve kind of used and abused this guy. Kind of felt like he had to toil in the minors for longer than most of us expected. It would be nice to see him get a shot. I don't hate this Kane idea of him getting less 5-on-5. I just think it's so funny, like when you watch the Red Wings in person, what a different game on the ice it is. Like when Kane's out there and has control of the puck. To this day, like it's still, the other team's like, whoa, we gotta like keep an eye on everybody across the whole ice because he can actually like make passes, in places you wouldn't expect. And yes, we do hear your crazy dog in the background.
Do you hear the doorbell? It's my kids are ringing the doorbell. Give me one sec.
Try to get in
here. But can you lead us off on this conversation with Danielson while I go get the door and then hand out some spankings?
Yeah, it's always fun when Matt's going out to do some spankings. But as far as the stack up here, I know Matt wanted us to touch on some of the big dogs, the first rounders that we talked about a lot. The Nate Danielsons, the Brandsegg-Nygård, which is the pronunciation we heard at the Red and White game. My beautiful baby boy Sandin-Pellikka. And then, Mazur and Lombardi, who was really impressed in the preseason. And then Carter Bear, as far as like naming dudes. But I didn't really.
I do like that. We're just kind of naming guys at this point.
No, I mean, I guess as far as the prospect wave being up, I still didn't feel, Matt, like, I think it was just positive to see them playing against other sweaters, that are NHL. But did you think that you were watching like an NHL guy who's going to put up 60 points this year?
I did want to come back to Ketzel's point here of getting queued up the MBN goal, because there's so many little things you can take away from all of these guys that if you could combine them all into one hockey player, you would have Sergei Fedorov. But one thing that we've been promised for so long, and it was brought up earlier in the chat, was like the Timu Pokinen days, where it was like, this guy's got a hell of a shot. And then Jared was like, yeah, and it would hit every pane of glass in the building. Like you couldn't get a shot on net. So I think the exciting part about these prospects is that we were sold on Danielson's two-way game. It's working out pretty good. We were sold on Nygård's shot. And we have this wonderful highlight I'm going to queue up here. So if anybody hasn't seen it yet, you get to watch Nygård rip one right between the circles here in a second. But Larkin's going to set him up here. And this is a beauty. This is exactly what you drafted this guy for. This is exactly what we were sold on. This is the look at. Do you see Larkin talking to him too? Like, that's what I'm talking about, man. I kind of want to rewind and show you that Larkin saying that. Look at, see, that's what I'm talking about right there. That's so great to see the captain doing that in a preseason game. Like, see, that's what I told you, man. You get lined up there, you've got the shot. So yeah, do I see a 60-point guy? Not yet. But I see a guy that look at this reaction. I mean, you're building some chemistry. You're building based off a guy that was, again, promising that this is what he was going to bring to your franchise. And it's nice. It's exciting. It's not Timu Pulkkinen ripping one into the glass. It's Nygård apparently listening to his captain after he throws in the "see what I told you" and putting one away. So to answer your question again, don't see a 60-point guy yet. Can't identify one, but we see some potential here. Oh,
the reason I phrased it that way, I should have probably fine-tuned it a little bit, was I was really worried about Pellikka the first time we saw him. Like it looked like, oh man, this might be a whole year in the minors. He's looked a little bit better, but I guess of all these players, the two that I probably want to zero in on, obviously I'd love for Pellikka to make the team, but if Nygård, he kind of talks about that archetype that we referenced earlier. I think he'd probably be the closest thing to being like a Bert on the first line. If he is going to be a little bit physical and have a shot, so there's somebody for Larkin and Lucas to actually pass to and get a legitimate scoring chance, So
yeah,
I don't know what Finnie's going to bring besides the high compete and the skating ability, but like to kind of even out, that first line and kind of have all the ingredients of success. Be really nice if Nygård could figure it out.
yeah. Crimson
early. I mean, yeah.
Crimson throws in there. MBN is his power forward. Ketzel throws in there. Larkin single-handedly got Bert to 30 goals. Imagine what he could do with MBN. Yeah, and Crimson also threw out there. He thinks MBN's going to take a big leap this year. I mean,
anecdotally, you and I are always going to have a soft spot for Bert because we were there on that. Wasn't it the Tampa Bay game when he scored 4 goals?
Yeah, the regular season opener. Yeah, that was great.
He carried the team. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, you're saying.
No, I just called out the comments here where Crimson thinks a pretty big leap is coming. I just like, again, when you're sold on a player as a prospect and we have to get excited about them, when I hear that somebody has a big shot, I do go back to the Teemu Pulkkinens and I'm like, yeah, I know, we've been told that. The Philip Zadinas. And I'm not saying that this means this guy is good. He's ready to go. He's ready for the NHL. But it was refreshing just to see one of these times. It was like, oh, that went in the net because he ripped it just like we were told he could,
Yeah.
But yeah, I like this comment too from Ketzel. Grand Rapids is going to be wild.
So Ketzel, you saying that the likelihood that those, like 5 names that we mentioned, like all pan out as Detroit Red Wings is not super high. So I think one thing we haven't touched on is it would be really nice if the Red Wings could get some win now talent. So I think one thing that we haven't touched on at all today is just like these guys are starting to look more like tradable assets. You know what I mean? Like things that players that other teams would envy to be like, ooh, I kind of want a 2-way forward. Ooh, I kind of want that shot, for us to develop and figure out. Because I know that I'm going to get some pushback in this chat because they're like, no, we drafted those guys. They're our babies. I don't want them to go. Please. I want them to all retire Red Wings, all of them. But I mean, because these guys are all kind of playing well, they're starting to look like guys you could bundle with first-round picks to like be interesting in the offseason or like be interesting at the trade deadline. Something to actually dangle that other teams are interested in.
Yeah, it's kind of goes along the lines of what we've always been told is to be patient, and a lot of that has been because like Ketzel throws out there, we still have too much trash on the roster. No one wants to take it, but I think you're right. I think there are going to be some decisions where we've already talked about.
It's easier to eat Comfer if you're also getting Nate Danielson. Yep.
Right. But also there's those decisions where it's like, we might have to hang on to Comfer and unload somebody else so that we can improve the team for the future. Or like, if we see the seasons drifting away from us, there's going to be some tough decisions, but for us to bring in like some elite guys, since we're not going to tank anymore, we're not going to luck out in the draft lottery. So if something opens up, which Kirill Kaprizov is now off those list of opportunities, rich
man. Yeah.
You're gonna have to unload some guys that we like, and it's nice seeing that these guys are turning themselves maybe into tradable assets, like you said. Overall, this game too is Chicago. It's just top to bottom, good turnout for almost everybody on this roster.
Are the Blackhawks aiming to be the worst team in the league again?
I think they maybe don't want to be, but they did nothing to improve the team. I think they're stuck in this part where it's like kind of like where the Red Wings have been at, where they're not going to attract free agents unless they super duper overpay. But nobody was able to attract any free agents this year because everybody hung out of their UFAs.
Everybody re-signed.
Yeah. I don't know. All right. Another stock up. Mike, we're going to go faster through this one. But Aljo, he's now 195 pounds. He's stronger in battles.
Big meaty man slapping meat. I like that. Yeah.
Who threw in their Happy Edvinson's back? Yeah, Jim throws in there because this, oh my God, does this defense desperately need that? But Aljo, nice little breakaway to end the second period. But for sure, I think he looks solid in more ways than one. He brought in a game last year that said we could try him out on the second pair because the third pair minutes worked. Turned out a positive. But for this to take that next step, and I heard this described earlier on Puck Soup, there are the guys that add 10, 20 pounds to their body, and it makes a huge difference. And then there's the guys that it slows them down, and they're never able to catch up again. So we got to keep an eye on that. And a lot of Albert's game when we were watching him overseas was always taking the puck from the point and turning it into a scoring opportunity down low. He was able to travel with the puck. So adding that 195 pounds could be, oh, this is what my game should be in the NHL. I'm gonna let that go. Or, like I just mentioned, he was able to get a breakaway to end the second period. He'll just be able to win more battles and still come pretty hard. There's a better choice of words there. He'll still be able to get down the ice quickly, like he was before. Yeah, I don't know. Does 195 pounds affect the?
Yeah, it's pretty hard. I mean, it's just easier to win puck battles. You know, to put some mustard on a check. I'm not worried about him losing any speed. I mean, I think it's a good idea. If anything, now I feel good about 1-3-4, and really wish we could have figured out that number 2 spot with old Sharati over there. But man, you talk about job security, he ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, Ketzel throws out. Aljo had really bad play last night and a really good one, which you kind of like hope, like that's the kind of stuff when you pair him with like Simon Edvinsson, like it just turns into maybe out of every 3 plays, it's 2 good, 1 bad. And then I think I like Dan B's point here. Does AJO and Sandin-Pellikka, do they just look good because we've been watching Hall and Gustafsson for so long? But I mean, that's exactly the point, though, Dan. They got to go, and there's guys that can replace them. Get them in there.
I feel like Jim Johnson was saying, I think they're bringing up Docker and Hamonic. But, I mean, they're just more of, what is it, the little Dutch boy? You know, there's holes in the boat, so you're just putting Band-Aids on. They're not like actual, you know, flotation devices. They're Band-Aids. So they don't do a lot for me. I don't foresee a long tenure. It's just they're just waiting for, you know, our boys like ASP to kind of figure things out.
Yeah, I would say there's Hamonic, Bernard Docker. That's some injury coverage. I think we've seen some good play from Bernard Docker, but we haven't seen him. He was brought in because I think there's an opportunity here to see what Aljo can turn into on the second pair. So now you got to fill out that third pair, and you didn't want to sit there and just say, all right, Hall, Gustafsson, let's figure this out. I think there was an aspect of, okay, Bernard Docker has been successful on a third pair, limited minutes. We got to split these guys up. You know, like your third pair defensemen are not going to own 82 games of work. And I think that's healthy for them. So this is how we're going to make this work for this third pair and have sort of a, I don't know if I want to call it a rotation, but for sure we're mixing in, of course, the aspect of injuries. But I don't think you brought in. There's 4 names on this defense that should not feel safe about their job, and 2 of them will be playing every night. So that's a problem.
We got a few comments in here because Blake is saying, "I'm being silenced." And then he channeled his Mick from the Rocky movies saying,
"Oh,
Mike, you're a bum." That's right. That might be comment of the episode. I really like that. Thanks, Blake. Crimson thrown in there, insulting being an original 6 team and being avoided like it's the Sabres. Maybe we need palm trees as well. Crimson, don't hate that people want to go to teams that win. Because I feel like even when, the Red Wings were like signing every free agent, it was like, hey, I want a Stanley Cup. I want to go play over there. I don't think it was like, is that jersey like 89 years old? Wow, I want to be on that red sweater. I think they wanted to go play with Yzerman and Fedorov, Shanahan and Lidstrom and, Osgood. And
well, you know what that's tied to was like there's that longevity with the brand. So you've probably been able to have kids grow up in the area and they're wearing the jersey as they grew up. I'm pretty sure, Mike, we have every single kid from the Little Caesars team is on the Red Wings right now. So mission accomplished. We've got them. We did it. But in like another 10 years, the Florida Panthers, 10 years, and I guess, no, maybe, yeah, that makes sense. Like 10 or 15 years, Florida is just going to be the state of hockey. You're going to have Tampa Bay fans. You're going to have Florida Panthers fans. They're going to be building up all of their Pee-wee hockey leagues and then turning it into high school teams and then sending those kids to colleges. And then they're going to be like, oh, man, I grew up. I was a huge Panthers fan when they were winning 3 cups in a row. And that's what's going to happen. So you're right. Oh. And it breeds more fans as you move along. And Florida's going to be nuts in 10 years. There's going to be an influx of prospects.
Oh, we've been building the past couple years as fans of pizza. Now, Dan A, Dan B going back to back, which I like to see. I kind of wish the next comment was Dan C, but we don't have one. Dan A saying got to get some Flex Seal for those leaks on defense. And Dan B, Dan B with a wonderful summary of the Justin Hall experience. Step 1, give puck away. Step 2, make pass to guy already covered. Step 3, ice it. What a recipe for success. Thank you, Dan B.
Don't forget ripping one into the back of the net that nobody catches in the red and white game, and you miss out on a chance to get on the box score.
He did score, and nobody counted it. They're like, you don't even matter, Justin. You're not even going to be here much longer. Shut up! My goals matter. Oh, Ketzel, you sly dog, you throwing in the Connor reference to round out this squad. Maybe.
What if we were dropping like a Kirill Kaprizov contract to Kyle?
Do you think that we would only be getting him in free agency, or would Steve dare to trade some of these guys and do it now?
Well, I guess I feel like
the NHL is in this bubble of delusion that guys only want to play for you if you trade for them, and I'm like, I don't know why. That's not a guarantee in life. I mean, I would sign who's going to be putting me on a good team and give me a big bag of money, not because you traded for me.
Well, first of all, I've been reading a lot about NHL season previews, divisional previews.
Yeah.
The Central's going to suck this year. Winnipeg will be fine. So they are not going to be looking to trade.
We got to offload one of our best players. We got to do it.
Oh, we're first in the division? Well, how could this be? Got to get rid of Kyle. No. So that's not going to happen. Maybe I should pull it up and just run through the names. But how many easy wins are they going to get with the Chicagos and the Nashvilles, who are just going to be bottom feeders? And that's kind of what happened last year with Winnipeg too. So it's just that's just not going to happen. But that's what you're hoping for, and I don't see it. I don't see it coming.
Yeah, poo-poo.
Dan B says Winnipeg has to trade him and at least get something for him. Can't let him walk for nothing. Yeah, but if it's you're keeping him because you're gonna try and win a cup. Like you can get through your division. Maybe through one round of the playoffs and then cross your fingers from there. And I know you have Hellebuck as a huge problem, but they're not, talking about getting rid of Hellebuck, but he's been a problem in the playoffs. But it's one of those things, right? Like they're not letting him walk for nothing. They're going to keep him to see what can happen in the playoffs would be my only argument.
I think that's where we desperately need Larkin to get really good at schmoozing. Just every time we play the Jets, hey man, want to coming down to the LCA Lounge. We got a little deep dish. We spelled the pepperonis in the letter C for Connor. That's pretty cool. Want to hang out over here with us? Me and Lucas are over here. You want to have a Fago? Huh? How about a little bag of Better Mates? Come on down, buddy. How about a big bag of money for the next 7 to 8 years?
I know what you're saying, but I feel like even like the Lions were trying to convince what's his name from the Browns. Like, I don't know if you remember seeing those
Myles
clips.
Garrett?
Yeah, they're trying to get Myles. So it was like Hutch and I think Amon-Ra were like surrounding him at an event this past off season, and then he signed with the Browns for a butt ton of money. You know, I don't know if it ever works.
That might be the NBA formula. So what you do is you coerce your current team to sign you to a stupid expensive deal because they're the only teams that can afford to do it. Then you magically get grumpy right around the trade deadline and get a trade.
Yeah,
so he got his bag of money. Now now you're just waiting for the trade deadline when you can actually move him because the Browns are going to suck.
So I'd like him. I think we might have to.
We're just not putting a lot of eggs in that basket because you have to count on Winnipeg sucking ass and they're going to be kicking ass.
I do, no one worth signing without a trade. Is what Ketzel throws out there. I would throw out there. Why aren't we doing what I threw out there for Marner? Like, drop. I don't care. Drop 2 first-round picks for the right to sign these guys. Like, have that conversation. I know I sound ridiculous, but at some point we've got to be like, hey, what do we want this first-round pick to turn into? Well, it'd be great if he was like, Mitch Marner.
We gotta be a little more forward thinking. Like Kaprizov getting paid $18 million was a brilliant move. He ain't going nowhere. For the franchise, you've talked about it probably every episode for the past year and a half. The cap space is going up. $18 million is not going to feel like $18 million for very long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wish Steve had been a little more aggressive, a little more seductive instead of, we're going to throw out there maybe a reasonable deal, maybe a 1 to 2 for just under market value. We like to make players, play for contracts. We don't like to just put big money out there. Yeah, then you get fucking jabronis. It doesn't work, dude.
I mean,
I got to find some way to shoehorn that impression every episode, so apologize.
Yeah. No, they did the Atlantic Division preview on The Athletic, and they got to the Red Wings, and they were like, wow, there's a big hole on the left wing. And they were like, well, I mean, I don't know how they could have done anything with $12 million in cap space. And that's where the conversation went. And Max at first started defending Steve and was like,
he's got to make interviews with him and not lose, his press conference credentials. So I get it.
Right. So it was like, well, he had that money set aside, and you got to figure that's what he was trying to do, is land another defenseman, land another winger. And it's like, all right. So he did step 1 was to have the cap space, but there was another step. And I like what you're saying with being a little forward thinking here. Like, we could blame the draft lottery. We can blame free agents signing with their own team. We could live in the, oh no, another thing didn't work. Or we could do something ridiculous and get the thing that we really want. And the ridiculous thing, I think we mentioned a lot last year, but I'm not quite ready to do it. The ridiculous things are do an insane trade to make sure you get a chance to talk to these free agents.
You're going to have to lose a trade. There we go. You're going to have to lose a trade, Steve.
Yeah.
Which for you means give up a little bit more than you want.
Or, which nobody wants to have this conversation, or you got to tank until you actually get those elite players drafted. Which it's kind of like, what do you want me to do? You got a bunch of guys we're gonna turn into the St. Louis Blues, I guess, which won a cup. So, and we just have to cross our fingers that we get a 960 goalie like Jordan Binnington was for 4 months, and then we'll win the Stanley Cup. Okay.
There was an interesting point I wanted to throw your way. From Dan A. He said, I think he was talking about Kyle Connor, but he's saying they'll keep him, then do the Tampa trade to Vegas via Marner. Where's the one I was going to comment? God damn it. Oh, I lost the comment. I'm so sorry, you guys. This is going to kill me. This is great podcasting. But I think this whole thing just started with Jim Johnson saying we're still sitting with 12 million in cap space. Any possible moves? Matt, you've said it a couple times now. It's crazy how many moves are possible and how many we're not going to do. Oh,
Jim says, I'm surprised Matt hasn't brought up Elias Pettersson in a trade possibility. I can't. The no move clause has been activated, so we're done with Pettersson. It's done. It's done, Jim. We're all done.
I should have just said Matt because I found the comment I wanted. Yeah. It was burner account Matt the whole time. He said with Luke Hughes signing with Jersey today, the Devils are now $4 million over the cap. And he suggests, getting Dougie Hamilton to Detroit.
An old favorite of the podcast.
Yeah, we were really excited about signing him a couple years ago. But, Matt, as far as burner account Matt says, is there anyone else you want to try to pillage from New Jersey so they can balance the books over there?
Good question. Let's pull this. Pull up this.
Yeah, so they're 3.9. They're 3.9 over. They absolutely have to get under. Man, I mean, there's some sexy forwards I wouldn't mind out of their top 6, honestly.
Right, and they're probably thinking, oh, this is going to be a great top 6. We'll win the division. This is another one where, like, New Jersey's in a division situation. Like, unlike us, where I think what happened with our division is that Tampa's going to win this far and away. Tampa's going to destroy. And then Florida, Toronto got a little bit closer to Montreal and Ottawa. And like they both, well, I guess maybe only Montreal made some improvements. So you got those 4 teams are kind of like locked in there. So the Wings are just hoping to flip over Ottawa and that both wild card spots come out of the Atlantic again, which I think is possible because all those teams now are like their talent level just kind of got a little bit closer. And that's mostly because Florida has all of their injuries now, not necessarily because of changes they made, but that division will now it'll spread the win points, the overtime loss points. I don't want to say more evenly, but there's going to be less to Florida and more to the Detroits, the Ottawas, the Montreals. And yeah, it'll be an easy win for Tampa, but I think everybody else is going to move a little bit closer. So I still think those 2 wildcard spots are going to come out of the Atlantic. But for the Metro, and I'm going to pull this up. It's funny. I wanted to save all these conversations for next week, but Carolina's going to be fine. New Jersey's going to be fine. Then the rest of the Metro is a Washington Capitals team that way overperformed last year. Columbus Blue Jackets we're not sure about. Rangers we're not sure about. Islanders we're not sure about, who did trade away some players and kind of suck. They're going young. Pittsburgh Penguins will probably be fighting with the Blackhawks for the worst record in the league. And the Flyers, who haven't done enough to change anybody's mind. So you got 2 playoff teams in that division. So I think like New Jersey's really going to hold tight and figure something out here to keep this group together. And it's bad for us, but I don't know. And I really don't see, I guess based on how many wingers they have on here, you're probably looking at Connor Brown. Oh, and then there's Stefan Noesen, who's on the IR now. So maybe that just pivots to an LTIR, and then they don't have to worry about it. Or Andre Palat. Oh, God. $6 million.
I liked him a couple years ago. Blake reminding us, you guys have some horrible takes. Woodward Wing are close. And then Corey off the top rope says, Woodward Wings just recently forgot that Lidstrom had his number retired. And then there's a name floating out there, and I think we've given up on the Devils already based on the comments. But yeah, I think it's like they're too close, so they're just going to do an injured reserve or move somebody who's not interesting who costs $4 million. They have a couple dudes like that.
My God, look at Palat, $6 million cap hit, 28 points in 77 games, 15 goals, 13 assists last year.
I still, just the comments are kind of going back and forth a little bit with Carlson. I still don't hate picking him up because I feel like he's like ASP light. Like it's kind of what you're hoping for is like an offensive defenseman.
Yeah,
we have all this cap space, and you don't get extra credit for having cap space. Like you might as well have it, and he's still going to be an upgrade over 4 of our defensemen on the active roster.
Well, doesn't Steve gets that as a bonus, right? Whatever they come under the cap at the end of the year.
He gets the Michael Scott bonus.
Yeah,
if he fires somebody.
Yeah.
Corey, I think you're right. I don't think Carlson fixed what's wrong with the defense, but at least I kind of understand what I'm going to get out of him as opposed to Gustafson, Hall, and the other Band-Aids that they signed this offseason. So, yeah, we might have to just kind of sail off into the sunset here because we got a couple preseason games before the real – I think is there 2 more before the real stuff?
Yeah, we got 2 games left. Draft for the league is this Sunday.
Oh,
guys, whoever's on the league. If I did open up a couple of spots and we added some buddies, so nice. If anybody's interested, let me know. Hit us up in the Discord.
We might have a second or a third Dan who we know is interested in playing. So it'll be cool if we can get a couple more Dans in there.
Nice. But yeah, man, I couldn't be more offended to be compared to Woodward Sports, but hey,
it was Blake. He was going full heel tonight, so I appreciate his efforts. Matt, can you showcase the jersey one more time?
Yeah, you wanna?
So this is the new Centennial, the new winged wheel. Let me see the arms. A little garbage patch there. That's nice. And then what's on the other side? Get a little hundo.
It's
okay.
The 100 logo, but the priority
anything on the stitching for who'd you get, Lucas?
Oh yeah.
I wasn't sure if you got a number 3 Hall jersey or something. I don't know what you got.
Can you see it?
The closer you are to the camera, the less we can see. There you go. You look like Quasimodo. I like that. Nice.
I had this laying on top of I actually had my 2014 Datsuk jersey out too. I didn't realize the numbers are identical. That is the exact same number that they used on those Winter Classic jerseys from 2014
really?
At the Big House. Yeah. Because the 3, I set it down and I picked up the Datsuk jersey and I went, oh, what? That's not Lucas. Because 13-23. All right, let's sail off into the sunset. Wow, 7:30. I really thought we'd be done by 7. This is horrible.
We got some more votes for Carlson. Crimson, my man. Dan B says, prepare for pain.
Oh,
with the coming fantasy hockey. Yeah.
Somebody, Dan B, $300 for a sweater, $400 without the priority patch. My sweater came with a puck. Whee! Which, by the way, not worth it. It was only $10.99. $10.99, and I spent an extra like $40, I think, to get this through the Hockey Town shop instead of just being patient. So yeah, not worth it. Got a $10 puck.
You guys, hold on. I just wanted to see if I could share this before we went off. Oh, tell me I saved this text.
Corey's gone.
I get so many garbage ones.
Good night, Corey. Have a nice sleep.
There's if you haven't used, was it the Hockey Town shop?
Yeah.
That's the link you gave me. If you haven't used it before, they do give you like a 10% discount. And so they were like $300 with the patches. And then, do you have the leather? Is Lucas an alternate?
No, I screwed up.
Oh.
Yeah, in hindsight, I was like, oh, whoops.
That's all right. I'm looking at Hasek. He definitely won't have one since he's never an alternate captain. But yeah, look for that Hockey Town site, guys. If you haven't used it before, sign up. They give you a little discount for your first purchase, so it's worth it.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week. We'll do our season preview before the Montreal game.
Let's go!
Woo! Oh man,
Is that a high
my
note?
ears. Yep. All right. See you guys later.
All right, bye.